welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York, and they are open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. You can go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. The name of the location is the name of the website. Very simple. GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Go there and get a sneak peek of their new and used vehicle assortment to find out what ride you're going to be bringing home today. My dad just agreed on an all-new 2025 Honda Ridgeline. He loves that truck. And so he'll be bringing home a new color that is going to be in the family now. So excited for that. I got to see a picture of it over the weekend, and I look forward to all of y'all going over to Honda and letting them know that DT sent you. Great Lakes Honda City specifically, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Not just my Honda dealer, my dealer in Central and Upstate New York of choice overall. So make sure you go and see them today. With that being said, it's a Monday, which means Murph is with me inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Murph and I are going to be talking about Major League Baseball topics, NFL topics, and we're going to get into GG cards and breaks because your boy did some things. Now, this stack is not what I bought. This stack has to do with the state of where I think cards are at right now, and in general, how we kind of see where things are at with sports cards. So we will discuss how I think this stack may not be with me the next time there's a trade night, or maybe sooner. And then we'll talk about this stack. And this smaller stack is a very unique group of cards. And these cards that came home with me, I don't know if Murph has ever seen anything like this. So we'll get into those later on in the show. GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night was fantastic as always because Josh, Anthony, and the crew put together an awesome event and because y'all showed up and you made it truly what it is. So thank you for the awesomeness that you brought to this and for everything that you've done. So many, many thanks to each and every single person at GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night. Like I said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Murph and I got a lot to get into, so we're going to bring him into the broadcast here. Picture in picture from the great state of Pennsylvania. Here is the man they call Murph. Murph, how we doing this morning?
Doing pretty good, my friend. Got to watch the the finish to what was a wild PGA championship until about the last four holes when Scotty Scheffler ran away with it. But yeah, I mean, TaylorMade, we're 2 for 2 in the major winners this year.
Yeah, I know that's something, right? When you have your certain golfer that you work with, so TaylorMade having the opportunity to be showcased in the spotlight, I'm sure means something to you and means something to the company. What is that like for you from your perspective when you're working with a certain brand to see them out there and exposed in such a light like that?
It's cool. I mean, I've always been a TaylorMade fan as long as I've been playing golf. I mean, I've played, got 7 or 8 different TaylorMade drivers over the years.
Yeah.
And now working for the company, it's been really cool just to, be a part of it when Rory wins and completes his career Grand Slam. Now that Scotty's won his third major and he's going to be, in position most likely to win the U.S. Open and the Open Championship. But we'll see. It's been cool. Just to touch on this for just a second, we had the privilege to work with the TaylorMade tour van this week. So basically, and I'll send you a video of it. I don't know if you want to. I don't know if there's a way for you to post it up in the feed later on. But I'll text you the video so that you have it. But just a video of the trailer. So we got to do 5 fitting events with the trailer there. And basically what happens on those trailer days is the clubs that we fit the people for on the range. Mm-hmm. For the most part, we couldn't build any irons and very few wedges, but any woods like driver, 3-wood, hybrid, all that stuff, we'd build on the trailer and they'd be ready for those people to hit within an hour. So it was really pretty cool. And to have that going on while we had Scotty going and winning the PGA Championship was was pretty darn cool. But I just texted it to you, and if we can get it up later, that's great. If not, I'll show it from my phone. But the trailer is sweet. I mean, we got literally almost any shaft you could think of, every driver head that we offer, every fairway wood and three and hybrid that we offer. He had some wedges. He had a
Every
wedge
fairway
stamper
wood
too
and
that he
three
could stamp the
and
wedges, which is pretty cool. Um, but yeah, to have that going on while we're witnessing Scotty, another tailor-made staffer, win the PGA Championship, it was pretty cool. And I also do want to give a shout out to one of our staffers locally, Brian Bergstall, who qualified for the PGA Championship. Did not make the cut, but he got to go out there to Quail Hollow and play to try to win a PGA Championship. And it was pretty cool to see somebody from Shawnee, who was local, go out and do pretty well in the qualifier to get out there.
Yeah, and congrats to him. I mean, obviously, this, had to have an event like, and I think it's cool too when you're talking about like having somebody come up and having an event where they can be fitted for something and then it's theirs like right off the jump and they can take it with them. I always think it's really, it's just something interesting and unique in any style of business to be able to pull up and to, engage your customer and then say, okay, if you buy this right now, we're going to actually customize this, personalize this for you, and get this ready and out to you. So, I think that is really cool. I would love to do something like that. If Wake Up Call has the opportunity down the road to work with a golf company, and we can do something like that, right? Where we do kind of like a pull up somewhere to a business or a pull up to an event and just have people come up and do that, and then like I'll do one. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
That would be.
I'd like to see something like that. So Murph is here with us, and please continue to pray for Mr. Murph as his back heals and he gets better here. That's very important as
It's getting there.
Yeah, as we get to see him get better, get well, and stay well, because Murph is important to us, obviously, on and off the air. Looking at where things sit right now, we got some stuff going on in the baseball world. One of the first things, Jerry's not going to want to hear. I love you, Jer. But Philadelphia Phillies reliever Jose Alvarado suspended 80 games by Major League Baseball. Now, there still is suspensions in certain sports. We do see that. The NFL still suspends. Major League Baseball still suspends. The NBA, sometimes they'll go out there and do it, but suspended 80 games without pay for violating Major League Baseball's drug policy. The lefty tested positive for exogenous testosterone, which is a performance-enhancing substance, and that was what the MLB released in a statement yesterday. And so this is what we know. The suspension is effective immediately. By rule, Alvarado will be ineligible for postseason this year as well. So the 80-game suspension, as we're about at the time where, around 40 games in, so there's a 162-game season, so we won't see him back until 120 games are played, and then if the Phillies make the playoffs, he'd have to leave again. So even if he comes back from suspension, that does not mean that we will not see him exit again if the Phillies do indeed make the playoffs, which I know people like Jerry are hoping for. Phillies president of baseball operations, Dave Dombrowski, said the positive test was caused by a weight loss drug Alvarado took during the offseason. Dombrowski said Alvarado accepted the suspension and did not appeal. Now, Dombrowski also said, quote, "It's not something he did knowingly. I believe that the way he talked to me," end quote. Now, barring rainouts that would push games into later this season, Alvarado would be eligible to return August 19th against Seattle. He will lose $4.5 million, which is half of his $9 million salary this year, as part of a $22 million three-year contract he signed in 2023. Philadelphia has a $9 million option for him for 2026 with a $500,000 buyout. So they can either keep him on the team for $9 million next year, or they can exit him for $500,000. Manager Rob Thompson said, quote, "We've got to move on. It's too bad, but we got to move on. We have really good pieces here that can pick up the slack," end quote. Now, Alvarado currently leads the Phillies with 7 saves this season. He has a 4-1 record, 2.70 ERA in 20 appearances, 25 strikeouts to 4 walks in 20 innings pitched. His 99.6 mile per hour four-seam fastball velocity ranks 5th among those who have thrown 250 or more pitches. So he's not exiting without the fact that he has brought it this season. He's the second Major League player suspended this season, though, under Major League Baseball's drug testing program. Atlanta Braves outfielder Jerickson Profar was suspended 80 games March 31st. Right-hander Jose Ruiz on the injured list since May 3rd with neck spasms was activated to fill the role that Alvarado will leave. So shout out to Jose Ruiz coming back, but Alvarado gone. And you hear that from, like I said, going back to this here for a second, the president of baseball operations says, oh, well, he told me that it came from a weight loss drug that he was taking in the offseason. But if that be the case, then why did he not appeal it, and why did he just accept the suspension is the question. But 80 games we will not see Alvarado, and we know that he has done a pretty darn good job here, Murph, but he will be out for the Phillies. If he comes back August 19th, we're not going to see him in the later part of the season. When the postseason begins, we will not see him in September, October, or if the Phillies make it to November. Your thoughts?
It's it's always surprising when you see anybody that gets popped for PEDs these days, and because the punishments are very severe.
Yeah.
I mean, your first offense is 80 games, your second offense is a full season, your third offense is a lifetime ban. So that is, Alvarado's not a guy I would have expected. There are a lot of drugs on that list that would fail a drug test.
Yeah.
For Major League Baseball's PED policy. I don't know how these guys don't know what's on that list. I completely don't think that this was done unknowingly. He might have not realized, but he definitely knew at some point. So for me, I don't have any sympathy for anybody that fails a PED test these days, because it is clear as day what is going to result in a failed test, and he got popped for it. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again. I don't think he's that stupid. Most guys that you're seeing getting suspended for the 80 games don't get suspended again, unless your name is Robinson Cano, but that's just him. But it's surprising. It's definitely surprising, and the Phillies are going to be without their closer for a good part of the season, and he won't even be able to pitch in the postseason when they get there. So I don't know who the heck is going to close for the Phillies now. I know Phillies fans are up in arms about Jordan Romano because he's been horrendous for the Phillies, but I think that's probably their best option right now. We'll see.
Yeah.
But Alvarado, one of the best lefty relievers in all of baseball, throws absolute gas and has a wipeout slider. That's going to be a tough loss for the Phils going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that they'll have to make up for and figure out as they go. I mean, if anybody has depth, it's the Philadelphia Phillies. So am I worried about them? No, but I mean, is it going to be something that they're going to have to figure out as a team? Absolutely. And sometimes it's the sum of its parts, right? So you lose one guy who's been really good for you, so you find out a way by utilizing a bunch of guys to try and make up for what has been taken off of the roster. But, obviously Alvarado, my hopes for him and my prayers for him and his family, and that everything works out, and that, decisions going forward are good, and that his mental health stays strong, because being taken away from something that you love is obviously not something that's an easy thing to deal with, especially having to watch it. So our prayers go out to him in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Hoping the best for you and your family, and hoping the best for the Phillies as they step forward. Shohei Ohtani, speaking about stepping forward, is ramping up his elbow rehab. This man is not human. I told people this before. When we find out that Shohei Ohtani was an alien the whole time, I'm not going to be surprised. Maybe it's because I watched that TV show. Was it called V? And It was about these aliens that look like human beings. I think Shohei's one of them. Now he is ramping up, coming back as a pitcher. He threw a 50-pitch bullpen session this past Saturday, which was Saturday, May 17th. So he threw a 50-pitch bullpen session, another step in his program for his return from elbow surgery. He advanced from the 35 pitches he tossed in his previous bullpen session by 15 pitches. He did not throw any sliders in the bullpen. He simulated a 2-inning outing by throwing 25 pitches, resting, and then finishing with 25 more pitches. Ohtani was the designated hitter Saturday against his former team, the Los Angeles Angels. As a pitcher for the Angels, he went 38-19 overall in his career with a 3.01 ERA, 167 strikeouts, in 132 innings. He made 86 starts with the Angels from 2018 to 2023. And as shocking as it is to you and me, and that's why I say it all the time, never made the playoffs on the same team with Mike Trout. Ohtani hasn't pitched in a major league game since August 23rd of 2023 for the Angels. He's recovering from right elbow surgery, which he had on September 19th, 2023. There is no timetable for his return to the mound, but the man who stayed in LA and switched teams and nicknames from Angels to Dodgers has a World Series ring, and last year dude went bonkers when it came to home runs and stolen bases. Now we're seeing him get even closer to going back to pitching. Murph, again, as the world awaits, the rest of baseball is going, no, 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 no. What are your thoughts about where he's at right now?
I am surprised it has taken him as long as it has to really get back on a mound. I don't think the Dodgers are in any particular rush to put him back on a mound. I mean, he's doing so well as the designated hitter every day
Yeah.
that he's. I don't necessarily think he's living up to 700 million, but he's doing pretty darn well for himself.
Yeah.
I mean, remember they're only paying him $2 million every year until the contract is up, and then they pay him $68 million a year. If you don't remember that. But yeah, it's for me, it's one of those things where, I mean, I don't know what the heck kind of surgery he had, whether it was Tommy John or it was internal brace procedure or whatever, because they didn't specify what the actual surgery was, so we don't know exactly what it was. However, it's still Shohei Ohtani. He's still the best. He's the most talented baseball player I think to ever step foot on a baseball field. That includes Babe Ruth. It's interesting,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to pitch this year. I genuinely don't. It might not be in the Dodgers' best interest for him to pitch this year because they don't really need it. However, I mean, they did just lose Roki Sasaki. He's down on he's hurt. Clayton Kershaw just comes back, but is there really a permanent place in the rotation for him? I don't know.
Yeah.
Trying to pull up their rotation here before I lose track of anybody. But they have a plethora of pitching. So, Dustin May has done all right so far this year. They've got Ben Casprius that's done well in the rotation. They've got guys. Tony Gonsolin, too, has been okay. I don't know if he's going to sit in there. I don't know if Kershaw's going to sit back in there permanently. They could probably find a place for him, for Ohtani if they need to. I mean, he doesn't need to be their ace. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's kind of been that.
Yeah.
I mean, 2.12 ERA, sub-1 WHIP is pretty darn good, and 59 strikeouts and 51 innings is nothing to scoff at either. So I do think that they would benefit.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think they need to though.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see if they decide to bring him back. But I don't necessarily think there's a need to bring him back. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have more than enough. The Dodgers have the equivalent of stars for 3 different franchises. So Do they need him to do it? And the thing is that they still have him. It's like if you don't have him on the mound, you still got him. It's not that you're waiting for Shohei to come back, because normally when people rehab from an injury, they're out. When Shohei rehabs for an injury, he's banging homers. He's stealing bases. Shohei Ohtani, again, not from this planet, not sure which one. I think that there's one that we had found in some solar system somewhere that resembles Earth. That might be his. I'm not completely sure about what it is. But Shohei, wherever you're from, please always remember, my friend, we come in peace. So, with that being said, the Minnesota Twins recalled right-handed pitcher Zebby Matthews from AAA St. Paul.
Great name.
Yeah, Zebby. Brought him into, by the way, there's a place that used to be, I don't know if it's still here, but it used to be in Syracuse called Zeb's. It was a local restaurant, really good barbecue sauce. AAA St. Paul inserted him into the rotation for the Brewers now for their road game that happened yesterday on May 18th. The 24-year-old Matthews lasted only 3 innings in a 5-2 loss to the Brewers, giving up 4 runs on 5 hits. He struck out 5, walked 3, as the Twins' 13-game winning streak came to an end. He closed out last season in the Twins rotation with a 1-4 record and a 6.69 ERA in 9 starts. He has produced a 2-1 record with a 1.93 ERA in 7 starts for St. Paul, which had 38 strikeouts, 9 walks over 32 2/3 innings. The Twins on Sunday also selected the contract of outfielder Carson McCusker, a 26-year-old who's yet to make his big league debut. 6'8", 250-pound slugger is hitting .350 with 10 homers, 36 RBIs in 38 games this season for St. Paul. The Twins had recorded 3 straight shutouts entering Sunday's game, with the pitching staff recording a collective 3.15, shout out to my hometown, that's our area code, ERA that ranks number 3 in the majors. Matthews pitched a scoreless first to get the Twins streak to 34 straight shutout innings, because I tell you this story and you're like, well, why was this guy out there? He didn't have a good day. Well, the Twins, again, 3 straight shutouts entering Sunday's game, and the streak of shutout innings, Matthews helped them get to 34 straight, the longest streak in Twins history, which began in 1961. So now they have the longest streak here. They had 3 longer shutout streaks when they were the Washington Senators, but the most recent of that took place in 1913. To accommodate Matthews' arrival, the Twins had to send someone down, so Danny Colomé, he left with a left forearm extensor strain on the 15-day injured list. And so as we're looking at this right now, bringing in another pitcher here for the Twins, they promoted that right-handed pitcher, Zebby Matthews, and hopefully we're trying to keep that streak alive. 3 straight shutouts for the Twins. Shout out to Mary MT, my other mom, as that is her team and that is her home of Minnesota. So the Twins, 3 straight shutouts, trying to make it 4. Zebby don't do it, but they got 34 straight shutout innings, Murph, for the longest streak in Twins history dating back to 1961. So despite the loss, something cool here. 34 shutout innings. Not a lot of people can say they do that, especially in today's baseball.
Absolutely. And huge kudos to the Twins, who I think were coming into the day, were riding, I believe it was a 12-game win streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Sorry, 13-game winning streak. Obviously, you knew that was going to come to an end eventually. And unfortunately, it did against the Brewers. They were able to steal away that 3rd game against the Twins. But the Twins have been one of the hottest teams in baseball for about a month. They did not start off the season particularly well. I mean, they ended up, in the month of April, they struggled. Yeah. They definitely struggled, but they have found their way to 2nd place in the American League Central, and let's just bear in mind the fact that the Tigers at 31-16 have the best record in baseball. Who would have thought that at the beginning of this season? But the Twins are creeping up a little bit. Obviously, they're 13-1 in their last 14 games, and have gotten a lot closer. before the streak, they were 13-20. So they had a rough start to the season, but they've sorted it out. They leapfrogged the Royals and the Guardians, found their way there. Zebby Matthews was in the rotation at the end of last season, but he really struggled. We'll see how he does coming back. Obviously, it was not his finest performance in his first start back from the minor leagues. We'll see what he does. There was a lot of hype around him last year when he got called up. He kind of let some people down and was sent to the minors to start this season. And hopefully, with another chance, he could figure things out. But it was not a great start for the rookie going into this in this outing against the Brewers. But the Twins are a good team. They've always been a good team. It's a team that even if you're not expecting them to be good, they're just going to show up and be decent anyway. So, with a healthy Royce Lewis, with a healthy Byron Buxton, who knows what this team can do this year?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Twins, taking a look at it, like we said, that streak ending at 34 straight innings, and you can see all those topics on the side here for you on Wake Up Call's Facebook channel here, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. We're also on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And after a technical glitch that happened over the last week or so, we are back live on Podbean. We always have our archive on Podbean, which is always growing, but wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. We're live on internet streaming radio right now, so you can go and pick us up there. We appreciate you for hanging out with us wherever you are, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world. We thank you for being on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Murph alluded to the standings here in baseball and where things are at. The Yankees continue to lead the East 27-19. Closest to them, the Red Sox and the Jays are both 5 games back. The Tigers, 31 wins and 16 losses. As Murph spoke about, they are 5 games ahead of the Twins in the AL Central. In the AL West, the Mariners lead the Astros and the Rangers by 2.5 games. Stop me if you haven't heard that before, that these 3 teams are always fighting for the division in the AL West. The New York Metropolitans are leading the NL East as they are 29-18. They are a half a game above the Phillies that we just spoke about. They're 5 games ahead of the Braves. And in the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs lead the division, as they typically do in recent history, 28-19. They are 2 games ahead of the Cardinals and 4.5 ahead of the Reds. And in the NL West, where my Diamondbacks are, the arguable toughest division in baseball this season. The Dodgers and the Padres are at the top here. The Dodgers lead the Padres by a game. They also lead the Giants by a game. And the Diamondbacks are in 4th out of 5th place of the NL West, and they're only 4 games back. In other divisions, they would be in 2nd place. So, Murph, as we take a look at this and realize the fact of what you just stated, the Detroit Tigers have the best record in baseball. Who has been the most surprising? Is it the Tigers? And who's been the most surprising in a positive way? And who's been the most surprising as far as the reality of you can't believe they are where they are in a negative way right now?
So I'll start with the positive, and I think it's would be foolish for me not to say the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. They came into this season, as a team that's still kind of not necessarily rebuilding, but they nearly made the playoffs last year. You figured they would be a good team that could probably, compete for a wild card this year. Nobody expected them to be the best team in baseball just about 2 months into the season.
Right.
And I think with their pitching has been phenomenal. I mean, Tarek Skubal, the reigning American League Cy Young Award winner, has just been incredible for them, doing what he does best and just getting lots of strikeouts and pitching to a sub-3 ERA. Reese Olson's been pretty solid for them as well, pitching to a sub-3 ERA. Their big offseason acquisition, Jack Flaherty, has been solid. ERA over 4, but that doesn't necessarily speak to how he's pitched, because he's done, I think, a little better than that record shows. Casey Mize, a former number 1 overall pick, has been a revelation so far this year. He started to figure it out. He is on the IL right now, but he will be back after a relatively short stay there. And one of their big prospects, Jackson Jobe, has rounded out their rotation fairly well this year. I mean, for a number 5 starter, a 4.12 ERA is nothing to scoff at. That's about what you expect out of a number 5 starter. Eventually, they want him to be, an ace level pitcher, but that's okay. He's not gonna be that overnight. But this team is getting help from everybody. Riley Green's been hitting pretty well. Second on the team in home runs, second on the team in RBI. Spencer Torkelson is leading in home runs and RBI, 12 and 38 respectively. Not striking out nearly as much as he has been, and finally starting to come around. Another former number 1 overall pick, and he's starting to figure things out. Kerry Carpenter has been pretty solid for them, hitting nearly 300. Trey Sweeney, a young player, has been doing well for them. And then how about the reincarnation of Javi Baez, hitting 291 with 6 home runs. He's third on the team in RBI. Still striking out a ton like he does, but it's Javi Baez who hasn't exactly played up to his contract to this point with the Detroit Tigers, and he's played almost exclusively center field this year for them to find him some spots, and he's doing fairly well out there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys on this Tigers team they don't really have like a true superstar other than Skubal. And it's impressive. They don't have anybody on the hitting side that's like you say, oh, this is a guy that's an absolute superstar. Like they got a lot of very good players. Like Riley Green's a good player. Spencer Torkelson's a guy that's been down on his luck the last year or two, but he started to figure it out. Javi Baez was supposed to be their superstar, but couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat with the Tigers for the last 3 or 4 years. But now he's starting to figure things out. They have been outstanding. And I think the most disappointing team so far, and I think that'll lead us perfectly into our next topic, has been the Baltimore Orioles. They have been, this is a team that won the American League East last year.
Yeah.
One of the best teams in baseball all year long. And they are statistically one of the worst teams in all of baseball. They have, I believe, the 4th worst record in the game. They are in dead last in the American League East. They can't hit. They can't pitch. They can't do much of anything. Gunnar Henderson's still doing what he does, hitting 258, which is a little on the low side for him, but still 7 home runs, not driving in a whole lot of runs. Jackson Holliday has been good, not great. Not as good as he was at the end of last year, but he's getting there. They're not exactly hitting terribly. They're not hitting for power, which is unlike Orioles teams in the past. But they've got one pitcher who's pitching to anything close to a decent ERA, and that's Tomoyuki Sugano, who's pitching to a 3.08 ERA, but he's striking out 5 batters per 9. He is not going to keep up a 3.08 ERA with those numbers. Charlie Morton has been horrendous. Cade Povich has not been good. Dean Kramer has not been good. Zach Eflin has been pretty bad. Basically, they have no pitching. But if you think about the Orioles in years past, they've never had pitching. They had Corbin Burns last year, who was good, but that was it. They've got a plethora of young hitters. Please, for the love of God, trade one for a pitcher, or 2, or 3, or maybe, I don't know, try to go out and sign a starting pitcher in free agency. That'd be pretty nice for them. Or try to draft and develop pitching, because clearly they don't do that all that well. And this is a team that is horrendous right now, and they just fired their manager Brandon Hyde. And I know we're getting into that next, so, not to jump the gun, but Brandon Hyde, it was not exactly his fault. Obviously, the manager is always going to be the scapegoat in this situation.
Yeah.
But this was their slow start is not really his fault. They have no pitching at all. Their hitters are okay. Their lineup's still solid. The lineup hasn't gotten any worse. They're just not really hitting for power, but their pitching is giving them nothing. They are. I want to check the team stat here, but um, let me see if I can find it. But they're, I think, one of the teams allowing the most runs in the game at the moment. Um, if I can pull this up real quick. So, not strikeouts. I want a different number. Hang on. Bear with me for just a second here. Gotta see if I can fit this because it's only showing me. It's only showing me. Oh, here we go. It's on the bottom. They have allowed the third most runs in baseball. Sorry, fourth most runs in baseball. They have the second worst team ERA at 5.52 as a team.
Yeah.
That is just atrocious. They've allowed the most home runs. They have, and it's really not as from walks because they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of walks. Strikeouts, they're near the bottom. They are fourth to last in WHIP. They are second to last in opponent batting average.
Yeah.
They have been horrendous, and it's all because of pitching. Their hitting hasn't exactly done anything different than they did last year, except hitting for less power.
Yeah.
That's it. It is all pitching, and that is not on Brandon Hyde.
No, and that's
he can't go out there and throw the baseball to the hitters.
Right, and that's how you win games. I mean, obviously, you can hit very well, as the Yankees have known over the last few years, but when they didn't have pitching, like last season in the World Series, they were outpitched, outplayed, and being outgunned, they went home without a World Series ring. My biggest surprise positively this season, the San Francisco Giants. San Francisco Giants, Robbie Ray right now has a record of 6-0 as a pitcher. Logan Webb is behind him with a record of 5-3. Ray is currently with an ERA of 3.04. Logan Webb 2.42. And we've seen Ray start 9 games. We've seen Webb start 10 games. When we look at the hitting side of things for the San Francisco Giants this season in 2025, we're looking at Willy Adames, who currently has 41 hits. He has 5 homers on the season. The guy that's leading the team in home runs, Wilmer Flores, has 10 home runs this season. The leaders, Ramos.
Former Met, baby.
What'd you say? Former Met, yeah.
Former Met, baby. Wilmer Flores.
Ramos currently is leading the team in batting average with 293. He's also leading them with hits with 51. Mike Yastrzemski is leading the team with on-base percentage of 379, and then we see home runs, like I said, Flores leading the team with 10, and RBIs, also Flores with 42, and then Young-Hoo Lee also in this mix of things. Looking at his home runs, he currently has 6 right now, and Ramos has 8 home runs this season. Matt Chapman has 8 home runs this season. Yastrzemski has brought about 5 at this point. RBI-wise are the guys that I've been talking about. Adames 22, Lee 29, Ramos 24, Chapman 24, Flores, like I said, leading the team with 42, and Yastrzemski with 17 runs batted in on the season. And then we're looking at some stolen bases here. Yastrzemski has 5, Chapman has 5 as well for the season to lead the team with Tyler Fitzgerald, who also has 5. As a team, they have 25 stolen bases at this point in the season, and they have also gotten 212 RBIs as a team, 50 home runs as a team so far, and a fifth of those coming from Flores. My biggest surprise in a positive way, looking at these San Francisco Giants, my biggest negative surprise this season for Major League Baseball as we take a look at where things are currently at. My biggest negative surprise would have to be, I mean, there's a way I could have gone. There's actually a couple places I could go to right now. But how they started out the season, Murph was so excited about this. This will probably make his day. But my biggest negative surprise, the Atlanta Braves being in third place in the National League East. The Atlanta Braves started out with really not having a good record by any stretch of the imagination.
0-7.
They're barely above the equator right now. They're 24-23, third in the National League East. As we take a look at what they've done recently here, though, they had a bunch of games against the Red Sox and the Nationals, and currently they have won 5 of their last 7 outings here, and they have done better as time has gone forward here in their season. But the Atlanta Braves, for who they are and their history and what they have struggled here, and they have not truly turned into a team that is vying for that top spot. The Mets have held on to it, and the Phillies are right there with them. So a little bit of a surprise here for the Atlanta Braves to be in third place and to have the distance they had to start the season and have the distance they have now. When we look at their pitchers, we're looking at ERAs of 3.52, 3.62, 4.01, 4.50, 4.05. There is, we know that Shawver has a ERA of 2.33 right now, so not too shabby on that. But the team as a whole, in my opinion, for what the expectation is for the Atlanta Braves, I would say is they're my biggest negative surprise right now. I also could have gone with the Cleveland Guardians, as they are in a situation where they're in third place of the AL Central, and the Cleveland Guardians as a team we saw make it to the postseason last year, do some things in the postseason. But I'm going to say the Braves at this point. I can't say the Diamondbacks because of how difficult the division is. And in the NL Central, it's kind of a situation. Last year, it was like the Cubs were at the top and everybody else was at the bottom chasing who was going to be the worst team. I can't say the Mariners, Astros, and Rangers because they're typically fighting with each other. And behind the Yankees, it's, you said the Orioles and the Rays, the Jays, and the Sox are usually grouped in together. So I think the one outside of the Orioles that makes the most sense is to state the fact that the Braves are still in third place, 5 games back, and only above 500, just barely at the time that we're talking of 24 and 23.
Oh yeah, and realistically, the Atlanta Braves have been a team so far this year that went 0-7, and since then they have won 24 games. They've gone 24-16 since going 0-7. So it is impressive for them. I knew that this was not a team that you could sit there and say they're not going to be good, because at the beginning of the season they did not have Ronald Acuna Jr. They did not have Spencer Strider. Spencer Schwellenbach was still, we don't know what he is. AJ Smith-Shawver was still in the minor leagues. We didn't know what this team was going to be. Yeah. We figured they would still be good. Nobody expected them to start 0-7. I was laughing hysterically when they started 0-7. Now they're only 5 games back, 4 or 5 games back in the Mets. I'm a little worried. Now, granted, Mets did just lose 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. Whatever. You're not going to win every series. It was a hostile environment. We all know that. Mets have been outstanding at home, not so much on the road so far this year. And I think they got a homestand coming up now. But regardless, this is a team. This Braves team is a team that I know we're going to have to compete with all season long.
Yeah.
Actually, no. We go to Boston for. Oh boy, we got a gauntlet coming. Boston for 3, then we come home to play the Dodgers for 3, and the White Sox for 3, and the Rockies for 3. So White Sox Rockies could be good wins, but they got to play the Dodgers later this week.
Well, and I will
say that will be eventful.
Yeah, and I will say this. Taking a look at it, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Alex Bregman, first season in with the Boston Red Sox. I want to go back to him because we talked about him earlier on this season. 47 games played up to this point, 185 at-bats. In those at-bats, 32 runs, 56 hits, 16 doubles, no triples this season so far, 11 home runs, 34 RBIs, 19 base on balls, and we're looking at his average here of 303, his on-base percentage 384. So to take a look at the Red Sox before we jump into our next topic, Alex Bregman, thoughts on what he's done? We know his first ever at-bat as a Red Sox was in the spring training, and I think he had 3 home runs in that game, including a 2-run home run. So your thoughts on where he's at?
He had a slow start, but he's definitely picked it up. I mean, Alex Bregman has always been the type of player that you thought would do well in Boston because he's got such a he backspins the ball so well that he'll have balls that'll carry over the Green Monster, but he'll also have balls that would be fly outs in Houston that he'll hit off the Green Monster for a double. So he's the type of guy that could definitely thrive out there, and he's been doing it so far. I mean, he's hitting over 300. He's got a dozen home runs. He's playing solid defense at third base. He's doing what we expected him to do with the Red Sox. I am not at all surprised because Alex Bregman has always been a good player. I've always thought that even if he got out of Houston, he'd have to go to the right place. Boston is that right place. I mean, I firmly believe that. And it has stirred up a lot of drama with Rafael Devers. And it's not his fault, obviously. It's nothing Bregman did wrong. But the Red Sox got to figure it out what the heck's going on with Rafael Devers. This dude is being, I mean, that contract's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if this guy's being this much of a cancer right now, I don't know what he's going to be in 3 or 4 years when he can barely play anymore. Because I'm thinking that he might, I mean, he can't play third base. They want him to try to play first base, but he refuses to do that. I think if he continues to refuse to play the field, the Red Sox should say, listen, you're either going to play the field or we're going to take legal action and try to void your contract. Because if he's not doing his job, then he can't, if he refuses to do his job, I think they have grounds for that. I don't know exactly how that works. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about that. But it would be an interesting precedent to be set if the Red Sox managed to do that. But I mean, I get to see the Red Sox firsthand and Bregman this week. I'm excited for that because the Mets are traveling to Fenway to play them, and yeah, it'll be interesting because the Red Sox also have a pitcher in Tanner Houck that has had 2 separate outings of giving up 11 earned runs in a game, and yeah, I had him on my fantasy team and. Safe to say that hasn't gone well for him. I spite dropped him the other day after his second outing of giving up 11 earned runs. His ERA for the year, 8.04. He has given up 39 earned runs in 43 and 2/3 innings.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not good. I want to check and see who's pitching for them this week. To see if we're going to see Garrett Crochet. Not tonight. Tomorrow is Walker Buehler, who's been meh for them. We're going to see Garrett Crochet on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to that. Garrett Crochet has done Garrett Crochet things. 60-something innings pitched. He's pitching to a 2 ERA, striking out the world. I mean, he's probably the favorite for the American League Cy Young at the moment. But hell of a trade for the Red Sox to pull that one off and sign him to an extension.
Yeah, so I mean, we take a look at that. We stay in division before we take a step aside inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios on Wake Up Call with DT and Murphy to start off your week. Always on a Monday, Murph and I discussing the world of Major League Baseball. And you alluded to it, Brandon Hyde, the manager of the Orioles, fired over the weekend on Saturday. Here's the official statement from the Baltimore Orioles organization. The Baltimore Orioles today announced that manager Brandon Hyde has been relieved of his duties. Quote, as the head of baseball operations, the poor start to our season is ultimately my responsibility, said Orioles Executive Vice President and General Manager Mike, it's Elias or Elias? Elias?
Mike Elias, yeah.
Mike Elias, okay. So, quote, part of that responsibility is pursuing difficult changes in order to set a different course for the future. I want to thank Brandon for his hard work, dedication, and passion all these years, and for returning the team to the playoffs and winning an AL East championship. His many positive contributions to this organization and to Baltimore will remain, and we wish he and his family the best, end quote. Quote, Brandon Hyde is someone I have come to know and deeply admire, not only for his extensive knowledge of baseball, but also for his exceptional leadership as a manager, end quote, said Orioles control owner, that being David Rubenstein. Quote, I am sincerely grateful for his significant accomplishments over the past 6 years, which have greatly benefited both the Orioles and the city of Baltimore. However, as is sometimes the case in baseball, change becomes necessary, and we believe this is one of those moments. The Orioles organization is truly appreciative of everything Brandon has contributed during his tenure, and we wish him nothing but success in whatever path he chooses next in the world of baseball. Isn't that funny how sports and relationships romantically use the same thing? I wish you the best in your future endeavors. So as we continue this, so wish him nothing but success in the path he chooses next in the world of baseball. Brandon is a man of great character, and we thank him for his dedication and wish him all the best in his future endeavors, end quote. I didn't even see that in the next thing. I said it was alluding to that, but that whole future endeavors thing. So they kind of said it twice there. The Orioles have also relieved Major League field coordinator and catching instructor Tim Cossins of his duty. Quote, we thank Tim for his tremendous contributions to the organization over the years, end quote, said Elias. Not a lot on that one. Third base coach Tommy Mansolino, that's right, good Italian man. Tony Mansolino will serve as interim. Mansolino, give me some mangiare. So I love it here. Interim manager Mansolino's taken over. He's been the third base coach for the Orioles since 2021. Worked in various minor league coaching capacities in Cleveland's organization from 2011 to 2020, including 4 seasons as manager with Single A Lake Country, which was in 2016, High A Lynchburg in 2017, Double A Akron in 2018, Triple A Columbus in 2019. He is 42 years old, Mansolino is. Was also the interim third base coach for the Guardians during most of the 2020 season, while Terry Francona was away from the club with a medical condition. Bench coach Robinson Chirinos will remain in his same role. So the bench coach stays the same. We did see a bench coach firing earlier this season when we saw another firing of a manager. But third base coach Tony Mansolino will be taking over in an interim capacity. And as we saw, he took over as an interim third base coach for the Guardians back in 2020. He's the official third base coach of the Orioles. Now he will be the official interim manager of the team as they step forward. So would love to get your thoughts, Murph, on the fact of a man losing his job because their pitching is atrocious. I'm kidding. So, but in all reality, as you said, managers in baseball, head coaches in other sports, football and basketball and so on and so forth, when it comes down to players not doing what they're supposed to do, sometimes you shift around the players, you make moves, you do different things. Sometimes you let a coach change their staff or a manager change their staff. But ultimately, if the player movement doesn't work, if you have stars and they're not playing like stars, instead of sometimes admitting that you made a bad investment, they get rid of the head coach, they get rid of the manager. In the case of the Orioles, they think that they fixed their problems this season as they're in last place of the AL East by getting rid of their manager, Brandon Hyde. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I said it before. It's not Brandon Hyde's fault. This team cannot pitch. They are near the bottom in nearly every statistical category for pitching. And realistically, he will get another job.
Yeah.
He will probably be one of the top candidates to get a job for teams that are looking for a manager next year. And it sucks for him that he has to go somewhere else to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't suck for him that he gets paid out at the rest of his contract when he gets fired. So I guess he can take the summer to enjoy himself and then look for a job next year. But yeah, he's the type of manager that we've seen with this team. His first year they were terrible, but they had nobody on the team. Like it was the year they had the number one pick. They draft Jackson Holiday, um, and so on and so forth. Adley Rutschman came up, and he was their only good player. He continues to play well. They make the playoffs back to back years in 22 and 23, and then 2024. I'm sorry, no, they made it playoffs. I think it was 3 straight years. And then this year they come off to a terrible start because they have no pitching, and then he loses his job. Realistically, I think Mike Elias is a big part. Well, carries a big part of the blame because they have no pitching, and he is the general manager or president. I don't know what his title is there. He might be the president of baseball operations or whatever he is. Either way, he makes the decisions. They've done nothing to address their pitching. They got a 40-something-year-old Charlie Morton who was on his last legs. Probably is done after this year. May not even make it through the season. Go get some help. Obviously, they will probably be trading pieces at the deadline because they are going to be out of contention. But I don't even know who the heck they're going to trade. Because looking at their roster, in terms of maybe like tradable assets, you're not trading Gunnar Henderson. You're not trading Adley Rutschman. You're not trading Jackson Holiday. You're not trading Jordan Westberg. You're not trading Heston Kjerstad. I mean, maybe you trade Cedric Mullins.
Yeah.
But he hasn't exactly had a great start to the year. Maybe you trade Ryan Mountcastle, but what are you really going to get for him? Maybe Ryan O'Hearn. Again, what are you going to get for him? These aren't exactly guys that are going to command a lot of attention. I mean, don't get me wrong. If Tomoyuki Sagano continues to pitch the way he has, he's a guy you could move at the deadline. But you'd be lucky to get a top 10 prospect in a team system for him. Maybe you trade your entire starting rotation because none of them are good or are going to be back next year anyway. I mean, Dean Kramer's been terrible. Cade Povich has been terrible. Charlie Morton's been worse. Like, who's going to want these guys? They might get a random prospect in single A that's like 30th in a team system for these guys. Mike Elias has some work to do if he wants to keep his job. I would seriously be skeptical of anything he does if they're not able to go get pitching. They need to learn how to draft and develop pitching. They have not done that. They haven't wanted to take pitching. They have wanted to take hitters. I just want to peek at their top 30 prospects real quick. Hang on. Because their farm system is still very, very good. But if you look at it, it's all hitters in the top 10 with the exception of 3 names. And they aren't even, highly thought after prospects. One was a 4th round pick. Another was a 14th round pick. This guy wasn't even drafted. He's from Venezuela. And then they had another guy who was a 5th round pick. They do not draft hitters high. They draft a lot of hitters, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Colby Mayo has come up and not done all that well this year. They got Samuel Basallo. I don't know how to say his name. He's their top prospect right now. They drafted Vance Honeycutt in the 1st round last year out of Vanderbilt, who's been pretty good in the minor leagues so far. Realistically, I don't know what their plan is for pitching. They have nobody in their system that they can develop or that they're really even going to be able to develop at the moment. I don't know what the heck their plan is. Mike Elias has to figure something out.
Yeah.
They need to bring in a manager that's got experience, and they need to bring in some pitching. If they don't do that, they are going to waste the prime of Gunnar Henderson. They are going to waste the prime of Jackson Holiday. They are going to waste the prime of Adley Rutschman and go right back to being the last place team that we've all known and loved for them to be in the last decade.
Well, we will wait and see what happens. As I've said before, the Baltimore Orioles were really bad. Then they had some time where they would start out the first 10 or 15 games, be really good, and disappear. Then they got to a point where they took another step and they'd be pretty good and they get better and maybe go to the playoffs. And then they got to the playoffs and then they became the number 1 team in the American League East. And Now they still haven't won when they're in the playoffs as the number 1 overall seed in the American League. So we've seen them go from not good to good at the start of the season to good enough to make the playoffs, to good enough to lead their division, to good enough to lead the entire American League, but not to get to a point yet where they have gotten into the postseason and done some positive things when they've been there. So there's 2 polls that are up right now on X, the former Twitter, at CallDT. That's CALLDT. You could vote right now. First poll, do you agree with the Baltimore Orioles firing of manager Brandon Hyde? Early polling says yes. Nobody has said no. And a poll that was just put up seconds ago, which Major League Baseball franchise has been the biggest positive surprise so far in this 2025 season? I can only give you 4 choices, so if you have a different choice, you can reply with the choice. It says that in the post as well. So my choices for you that I've put out there: who's been the biggest positive surprise this year in the 2025 Major League Baseball season? The Detroit Tigers, who Murph picked, the San Francisco Giants, who I picked, the Minnesota Twins, or the Boston Red Sox. You can vote in those polls on X right now at CallDT. That's CALLDT. Follow us while you're there and vote in the polls. We appreciate everybody that does all throughout the year. Murph and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break, and as we're doing that, voting is now equaled in the firing of manager Brandon Hyde. It's 50-50 right now. Some of you agree, some of you don't. We'll take a step aside inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we come back, we got some more baseball, some more pitching. Clayton Kershaw's back. That's right, baby. We see him back on the mound. We'll talk about Kershaw, then we'll get into the NFL side of things before we jump into GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night, a follow-up on an awesome night with great people, led by a wonderful, wonderful place to go for your sports and trading card needs. GG Cards and Breaks. We'll be back after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007 when When we first started the business in '07, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality, and I think on both of those fronts, Servamation has really in large part changed that value system for employees, so they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're gonna be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever gonna have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Folks, I drove by there a few days back, and that inventory is going, okay? Weather's warm, people feeling good, right? It's a little cool in Syracuse this week. It's going to be cool, 50s, 60s, somewhere around there. But people are getting out here saying, okay, we're going to be traveling, we're going to be doing some stuff. We're going to need a new vehicle, right? Kids getting done with school, so parents and families have more time to make these decisions, right? So they're heading out to Great Lakes Honda City, and if you don't get there first, you might not have the vehicle that you want. So get out there today, Great Lakes Honda City. You can find out more by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Murph and I hanging out with you, as always, as we start off Wake Up Call for the week with DT and Murphy. And guess what? The last time Clayton Kershaw was on a mound in Major League Baseball, your family might have been -1. What do I mean by that? Well, the last time he was on the mound was almost 9 months ago, which means the entire span that it takes for a woman to get pregnant and have that baby, we haven't seen Clayton Kershaw. So the last time you saw him, you might have a baby watching with you that you didn't have before. Clayton Kershaw back on the mound, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, lasted 4 innings this past Saturday night on May 18th for the Dodgers, May 17th for the Dodgers, allowing 5 runs and 5 hits against the Angels in the same city. He walked 3, struck out 2, threw 48 of 83 pitches for strikes, and ended up with a no decision as the Angels posted an 11-9 win. The club's career strikeout leader needs 30 more strikeouts to reach 3,000 Ks in his career. Speaking of someone who has a K in his name, Mr. Kershaw. So despite the shaky start, Kershaw said he was able to take away some positives. Quote, obviously I wanted to pitch better. I need to pitch better going forward. But I think for me, just to see that, I think there's some glimpses of some stuff being there, which is good. The problem tonight was just command. I had really bad command tonight. So I think I can fix that, which is good, which is an encouraging thing, end quote. He's 37 years old, 2 years younger than me. He was making his 2025 debut after recovering from off-season toe and knee surgeries. Gave up 3 runs in a 38-pitch first inning when we saw this game this past Saturday night. Now, the Dodgers tied the score in the bottom half before the Angels scored once in the 3rd inning on a home run from Taylor Ward, and again in the 4th on a sacrifice by Zach Neto. So Kershaw was exited after 4 innings, trailing 5-4. So, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts said, quote, he got a lot of 2-strike counts and couldn't put hitters away. Where typically that's his hallmark. When he gets count leverage, he can get a strikeout. Tonight, he just couldn't put guys away. The stuff overall I was excited about, end quote. Now, Kershaw made his final rehab start with AAA Oklahoma City on Sunday, yielding 2 runs on 2 hits and 2 walks with 2 strikeouts through 57 pitches over 4 innings. He said, physically, I feel great. You know, that first inning was long. I hadn't had a long inning like that in rehab before, so I think my stamina was kind of put to the test early, which was good. Obviously, I took my lumps in this one, but physically feel good and ready for the next one, end quote. In 7 big league starts last year, Kershaw was 2-2 with a 4.50 ERA before his season unfortunately ended on August 30th because of pain in his left big toe. His injuries prevented him from pitching in the postseason as the Dodgers won their 8th World Series championship overall. So Clayton Kershaw's back, and the time he took away, Murph, is enough time to conceive and have a child. So where are we at right now with Clayton Kershaw? He's 37. Some people want to say that he's washed up, he's done, he's been through too much, but he has been a part of this Dodgers success recently for a long time, and I'm a firm believer that if you can do it, get it done. So he's come back from surgery. He did not have a great start in this matchup, but Kershaw is back in the rotation. Your thoughts?
I mean, this is the guy who was the best pitcher in baseball for the better part of a decade. He did things with his, I mean, he had elite command, and he never threw hard. Like, Clayton Kershaw was never a guy that threw 98, 99. Like, the hardest he ever really threw in his career was like 94, 95 at most. I mean, for most of his career, he kind of sat at like, he probably sat at like 92, 91. But ultimately, Clayton Kershaw is one of the greatest pitchers I have ever seen. And I haven't gotten to see him with my own eyes, unfortunately, which stinks. But he has an MVP, 3 Cy Youngs to his name, and ultimately he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. 2 World Series rings, even though he didn't do a ton on those teams. Was always kind of known as being a pitcher that faltered in the playoffs, but he's still, to me, the best pitcher I've ever seen. Okay. And that includes 2018, 2019 Jacob deGrom.
Okay.
Because he did it for longer. And he's going to probably be one of the last, I would think, well, maybe not one of the last guys, but you're not going to see 3,000 strikeouts as often anymore.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it. He needs 30 more strikeouts. It'll probably take him 6 or 7 starts to get it. But he will do it at some point this year, and it will be an incredible day. I don't see him pitching past this year, mostly with all the injuries that he's had in recent years and his arm's starting to give out. And we'll see. It's sad because he's one of my favorite non-Mets players ever.
Yeah.
And I always root for him. I've got a jersey in my closet of Clayton Kershaw with the World Series patch on it from 2020. But it's great to see him back. I hope he, can find one last great season. But it's fun to see him back. But I'm hoping for better days to come for Kershaw.
Yeah. And, hopefully things will work out. 30 more strikeouts to 3,000. So, hopefully he'll get there and get there soon. And Jerry did get in here, and he said that, as far as Alvarado goes as a Phillies fan, he said he did something stupid, and that's a result. He also said it's tough to watch your show when your co-host is a Mutts fan, and I responded to him that I sincerely don't apologize. So with that being said,
me either.
we're going.
Sorry, Jerry.
Sorry, Jerry. We love you. We're going from one field to the next, from baseball to football. Brock Purdy has signed an extension, but there's a little hitch to this thing. There's an expectation to win. How about it? So I want to let people know this before we break down the contract. I would love to let you know that Brock Purdy's rookie contract made him an average of $853,333 per year. His new contract on average makes him $53 million. So from $853,000 to $53 million. Now let's discuss. Now, in April 2021, the San Francisco 49ers traded up to select quarterback Trey Lance, number 3 overall, and Lance was viewed as their future. They went and got Brock Purdy, who at that time was considered, and I don't like this, Mr. Irrelevant. So he became the starter a year later in 2022, and he continued to move forward from there. He led the 49ers to 2 NFC Championship games, including 1 win, and he did obviously reach the Super Bowl and did not win that Super Bowl within these last few years. They have made so much hay with him as their quarterback, becoming a perennial contender in the postseason, in the NFC, and for the Super Bowl. So, taking a look at general manager John Lynch, he said, quote, what he had to say, "We made him the last pick of the draft, and it served us well," end quote. So, taking a look at his contract right now, $181 million or $181 million in guarantees for that 5-year contract that runs through 2030. That makes Purdy the highest paid player in franchise history for the San Francisco 49ers, more than Steve Young, Joe Montana, and on and on. And Garrison Hurst, remember that guy? Oh, and that other guy named Jerry Rice, if you know him. So, crazy thing here. Taking a look at this, highest paid player in the history of the team, and that 265 with 181 million guaranteed. If we break that down over 5 seasons, that's still over $36 million a season for a guy that was making under $854,000. By the way, Brock Purdy, for going to a Super Bowl, was making less money than guys in college who had not proven themselves, who are getting NIL deals. Just so you know. Just so you know. Shedeur Sanders was making more money than Brock Purdy. So, taking a look at this, Purdy right now, for his contract as we extend this, the early contract cap numbers figure to remain manageable, and the Niners are now in his hands. Now, taking a look at how this breaks down of how this goes, if things go according to plan, they might be getting back Christian McCaffrey, their running back, off of a foot and knee injury, left tackle Trent Williams for a foot injury, and Brandon Ayuk, who has a knee injury, may be coming back to the team, hopefully. George Kittle also remains one of the league's premier tight ends and just signed a 4-year contract extension that will keep him with Brock Purdy, which is a beautiful thing. So, as we take a look at what's going on here, even before he signed his deal, the effects of the contract were being felt by San Francisco. The Niners went through a significant roster purge in the offseason. They lost key free agents such as cornerback Shavarius Ward, linebacker Dre Greenlaw, and safety Talanoa Hufanga is not on the team anymore, as well as guard Aaron Banks. They also released starting defensive tackles Javon Hargrave and Malik Collins, as well as their end Leonard Floyd, and traded away wide receiver Deebo Samuel Jr. and running back Jordan Mason, who came out and had some good success this past year. Now, the result of their exodus gives them 181 in dead salary cap money, easily the most in the NFL in 2025, and a roster that will rely heavily on 11 drafted rookies. Now, betting big on Purdy as we go here, hopefully, as things move forward for the team, we'll see what he can do and how this team can look to excel as they are coming off of not having the success that they obviously wanted to have here. So, looking at Purdy and where he's at and this deal, I'm looking at the contract here to give us a little bit more information on this contract, because I want to make sure that we give you all these pieces here that were stated. So he earned $2.6 million total over his first 3 NFL seasons, and this pay raise is great. He's the NFL's 76th highest paid quarterback over that span of the 3 years, according to roster management system here.
Boy.
So that's pretty crazy. Now, he will get paid more per week under his new deal, $2.9 million, than he did over his first 3 years combined in total.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're looking at here. I'm looking at if there's any specific things here, because they said it was going to be based on his performance, but there's no information here on exactly how they're going to figure that out. So, I mean, obviously 265, 181, that's going to come with incentives, but they didn't really break down the incentives, which I was hoping to see in here. There's $84 million unaccounted for in that 265. So that means that obviously almost $100 million has to do with something that he does. I would imagine getting to the playoffs, maybe some incentive-based stuff with how many touchdowns he throws, if he becomes an MVP, if he goes to the Super Bowl, all that good stuff. But Brock Purdy, what do you think, Murph? Dude made $853,333 per season in the last 3 years. Now bro's making bare minimum 36 plus million a season. If he gets his whole contract, 53 million a season is how it averages out to, but he'll be making $2.9 million a week after making less than that for 3 years combined.
Good for Brock Purdy, man. If there was anybody in the league that deserved a big contract,
Yeah.
it was Brock Purdy. Now, he isn't going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. I think that's still Josh Allen and Dak Prescott and those guys. But still, he took them to the Super Bowl, to the postseason, to the NFC Championship game multiple times in 3 years. He was getting paid nothing.
Yeah.
Even if he does absolutely nothing
Yeah.
for the 49ers the next 5 years, this contract will have been worth it for the Niners. Because they're basically paying him for what he did, what he deserved. So good for Brock Purdy. I'm happy for him. He seems like a great kid. I want him. I would hope that he's successful. And realistically, he should be an inspiration for every other Mr. Irrelevant to come from the draft.
Yeah.
Because it proves that Mr. Irrelevant can very much become relevant with a little hard work and some faith from your team. And some good luck in Purdy's case.
And Jerry said, love you, Murph. So he does have love back for you as well, despite the fact that you are divisional rivals in baseball.
Hey, at least he's not a Braves fan.
Hey,
That's one that I know that we can both agree on, Jerry.
that's something that you can both be okay with. I want to look at Brock Purdy because for a second, I want to go back in 2018 to 2021, which included the COVID year. First season with Iowa State. And by the way, he stayed with the same team the whole time. How crazy is that? Iowa State, 2,250 yards in his first season. Completion percentage, 60. Well, this is how the completion percentages went each year. First year, 66.4, then 65.7, then God be with us always and forever because the third year was 66.6. Then he had 71.7. His best was his final season. His yards passing in his 4 years at Iowa State, 2250, 3982, 2750, and 3188. His touchdowns to interceptions, never threw double-digit interceptions, 16-7, 27-9, 19-9, and 19-8 in his time with Iowa State. So looking at his numbers coming off of this thing, throwing for 12,000 plus yards in his career, having a completion percentage over 4 years of just shy of 68%, with his worst completion percentage being 65.7, 81 touchdowns to 33 interceptions. I had no idea why this guy, why anybody waited on this guy. But again, looking at those numbers and me being surprised he was picked last, well, obviously the rest of the NFL should be surprised too, or maybe not. In the Niners, good for them that they picked him up, John Lynch and the team, to go and do what they did. I have no idea how this guy fell off of everyone's draft board except for the San Francisco 49ers for pick 200 and whatever it was, 260 or 70, whatever the heck
I think 62 is what it was.
Yeah. So having that moment for him, great. And going from who's called Mr. Irrelevant to being a Super Bowl contender, good for Brock Purdy. He wears number 13, which is my grandpa Cavino's favorite number that shows up in my life all the time. So God bless you, Brock. You wear it well. Jerry said, I would rather eat broken glass than root for the Braves. So, Jerry, tell us how you really feel. So, Jerry giving us his...
I hate the Braves a lot more than I hate the Phillies. I will tell you that for a fact.
I will tell you this growing up as a kid. My dad's a Yankee fan, and my grandpa Tortora is a Yankee fan. And so when I was growing up as a kid, being around Yankee fans, I was cheering for the Yankees with my family. And cheering for the Yankees with my family, people would think, okay, you probably hated the Red Sox. No. I was raised to dislike the Braves because when I was growing up as a little kid, the Yankees were playing the Braves in the World Series. So I grew up anti-Brave more than I grew up anti-Red Sox, just to go with the two of you here this morning. Now, former Jet, this is for you, Murph, and for Ross that's watching and listening, and for my buddy Joe Russell. Former Jets defensive back Jamal Adams, who, by the way, I had his rookie auto when I pulled that from a pack back in the day. So former Jets DB Jamal Adams is liking the idea of returning to the team. Now, former All-Pro safety Jamal Adams, who was with the New York Jets in 2020, it led to one of the biggest trades in franchise history, wants to potentially come back. Quote, "I would love to be back with the Jets and obviously finish it the right way," he had said this past week. Man, that would be a dream come true, just to patch up that relationship and kind of make it right, end quote. So I guess some relationships, people do have remorse and want to make things better. 29 years old, he appeared as a guest on the Jets Lounge. He said he could be a valuable veteran asset to the team who has a lot of young players on the team and has a first-year head coach in Aaron Glenn and former DB for the Jets as well. So we'll take a look at what this is going to look like. He said, quote, "I would just come in as a seasoned vet, give game to the young cats, and help in any way, shape, or form I can. I know I can still play football, I'm healthy, and I know I can impact the game in a lot of ways. I just need that fair opportunity to come in and show what I can do," end quote. He was drafted number 6 overall back in 2017 and was one of the NFL's rising talents. He was a 2-time Pro Bowl selection and a first-team All-Pro in 2019, but he became disgruntled because of the losing of the franchise. He also wanted to be one of the highest-paid safeties in the league. The relationship between him and Adams in the front office, I should say, led at the time by former general manager Joe Douglas, fell apart when Adams went public with his dissatisfaction with, I don't know why I said satisfaction, dissatisfaction, and requested a trade.
It's a big word.
It is a very big word. And it's like ginormous, which I still think is a word thanks to Will Ferrell in the movie Elf. So dissatisfaction, requested a trade in June of 2020. A month later, he was dealt to the Seahawks for a package that included 2021 and 22 first-round picks. Thank you, Jamal Adams, the Jets would say. And the Jets parlayed these picks into guard Elijah Vera Tucker and wide receiver Garrett Wilson, respectively. And Adams made the Pro Bowl in his first season with the Seahawks, received a 4-year, $70 million extension, but injuries did limit him, and he only played 22 games over the next 3 years, and then he was released. Now, he's admitted he's had some regrets. Quote, "My biggest regret is me and Joe Douglas never speaking. We never spoke on the phone one time. We never spoke in person one time." How the heck do you release somebody when that happens? Before this trade happened. And that's where
it goes through the agent, I guess.
Yeah. And that's why I think middle people sometimes are good gatekeepers, but ultimately sometimes they are very problematic. And that's where I wish we could have that back, is what he went on to say, because I can't speak for him, but I didn't go about it the right way at that time, end quote. And he said he reached out to Douglas a year ago to apologize. So we shall see what happens here, but the Jets getting ready for this season, getting ready for training camp. Murphalation for the nation. Would you like to see Jamal Adams return is question 1. Question 2, what do you think about the fact that all these years, this man who went public saying he was dissatisfied years ago has now gone public to say, I have some regrets and I'd like to make it right. Not everybody says I'm sorry. Not everybody admits they're wrong. And not everybody comes out and tries to talk about something that maybe might paint them in a negative light. So thoughts on Jamal Adams coming out into public and being remorseful and open to rekindling, as well as what do you think about him actually doing it?
Absolutely not. Under no circumstances do I want that guy back on this team. He is a drama queen. As he said, never talked to Joe Douglas in 2020. Couldn't stand the... Sure, don't get me wrong. I get it. That team sucked. Nobody wants to lose as much as he was. But you got to put up with it. Dude, if you're going to be like that and have this horrible Irish exit on this team, no, I don't want you back. I understand he's remorseful and he doesn't like the exit. I don't care. I don't want this guy back. He's a headache on the field. He's an even worse headache off the field. He's not healthy. There is no reason to bring this guy back.
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel, Murph. So Murph does not want to have Jamal Adams back.
No shot.
Nobody, and he doesn't want to have him back on the team, and he said no, thank you. Going back to the 49ers to get to this quick, they're looking to sell 6.2% of the team to 3 Bay Area families. So according to San Francisco 49ers owner Jed York, the interested parties have approached his family, quote, probably on a weekly basis, end quote, to attempt to buy a piece of the 97% of the team the Yorks own. This week, it seems 3 of the parties who approached the family came with the right offer. The Niners are working to complete the sale of more than 6% of the team to 3 Bay Area families, according to an NFL source here. So I have to say alleged because I don't know the source. Sportico, which reported it first on Thursday of this past week, said the sale would be done at a franchise valuation of more than $8.5 billion. If the deal is completed at that time, the valuation will be the largest for a sports franchise in a transaction. The Kosla, Dieter, and Griffith families are the prospective buyers. The Kosla's purchasing 3.1%, the Dieters 2.1%, and the Griffiths 1% is what the Athletic said over last week. The NFL was expected to formally approve the transactions at their spring owners meeting in Minneapolis next week. The Niners declined to comment on it. The Niners have been receiving offers for the past few months, and York said in March at the annual league meeting that his family had been considering a sale of up to 10% of their ownership stake. At the time, he called it a, quote, family asset allocation decision, end quote, based on the wants and needs of various family members. Quote, it's just one of those things where if there's an opportunity that makes sense, we would always explore that. But I'm not sure what we're going to end up doing, which is what York said. He went on to say, quote, and if we do, we would try to find the right people who would help bolster everything that we're doing in and around the team, on the field, off the field, and just make sure that we had good partners that are with us, end quote. All 3 of the reported buyer families have venture capital backgrounds. Vinod Khosla is co-founder of Sun Microsystems and the founder of Khosla Ventures in Menlo Park, California. Byron Dieter is a partner at Bessemer Venture Partners in Redwood City in San Francisco, and William Griffith is a partner at Iconic Capital in San Francisco. In other NFL franchise news, the Los Angeles Chargers are requesting approval to sell an 8% stake in the team to a private investment firm. The Los Angeles Times reported this, citing a person with knowledge of the approved request sent in to the NFL owners. The newspaper said Chargers owner Dean Spanos and siblings Michael and Alexis Spanos Rule will attempt to sell the stake to private investment from Arctos at next week's meeting. So some stuff going on here, but how about this, Murph? 6.2% going to 3 families in the Bay Area. What do you think about the fact that we're looking at Jed York, the owner who owns 97% of the team, to maybe potentially own less than 91%?
I don't think it's going to really make all that much of a difference in the day-to-day operations.
No.
I mean, he's probably doing it to help fund the Brock Purdy contract, would be my guess.
Could be.
But, you know, honestly, like when teams sell ownership stakes, it's not exactly huge news unless they're selling a majority stake.
Yeah.
Like if they're selling a couple percent, it's like you hear about it, but you don't really know who they are. You're never going to see them for the most part. They're not going to have any say in what happens with the team. They're basically just investing in the revenue or in the profits that the team can see. But I don't think it's all that surprising with the Purdy contract. I genuinely think it's probably to help fund that contract for them to pay him over the next few years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. The question becomes, if Murph had the money, would he buy stake in the Jets? So
I'd buy the whole damn team.
There you go. So Murph said he'd buy the whole team. I'd
buy the whole team, or I wouldn't buy a stake.
There we go. So Murph says all or nothing for the Jets, Jets. Before we take a step aside, we're going to have one more note here on the NFL on DT and Murphy inside a wake-up call, which is inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. The Colts have apologized to Tyreek Hill and Microsoft for a now-deleted video. Let's talk about it. The Colts' attempt at a little levity has gotten them into a situation. The Colts, like most NFL teams, compiled a video to accompany the regular season schedule release, which happened Wednesday evening of last week. They abruptly removed it from social platforms Wednesday night. Now, quote, "We removed our schedule release." This is coming from the Colts. "We removed our schedule release video because it exceeded our rights with Microsoft and included an insensitive clip involving Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. We sincerely apologize to Microsoft and Tyreek," end quote, which is what the team said in a statement. The video was intended to be a spoof of the popular video game Minecraft, revealed the team's season opener against Miami with an image of a dolphin wearing a number 10 jersey and labeled Hill swimming along before he is stopped by a Coast Guard boat with a blaring siren. Now, Hill was involved in a controversial incident with Miami-Dade deputies last September as he was arriving for a home game. I believe we talked about that here on the show. Hill was dragged from his vehicle, taken to the ground, and forcibly handcuffed. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, later called for the officers involved to be fired. Traffic citations issued against Hill were later dropped. Rosenhaus said Thursday this past week that Hill told him that he didn't take the Colts post seriously and that he thought it was funny. Quote, "He laughed about it and didn't think they needed to take it down on his account," end quote. As for Microsoft's rights violation, it is likely related to the fact that Minecraft is owned by Microsoft and images identical to those in the game were used in the Colts video. The Los Angeles Chargers used similar content in their schedule release video, but showed a disclaimer indicating they had permission from Microsoft. So it's unclear whether the Colts sought such permission from the company. But you know what? It's good to know for a guy like me who's gotten in trouble for using B-roll of quarterbacks while talking about the quarterbacks, claiming no rights to the video footage, which was footage that came from the actual source and was stolen by somebody on YouTube. And I utilized the video that the person had put on YouTube, and I don't think that they had their YouTube channel taken down. So for someone to take the rights of that and not claim that they own the rights or don't own the rights of that, and for me to use that as a party after the party and claim no rights to it, but I had it taken down and it was flagged as spam. I fought it twice. I lost the case with YouTube, and I also had to fight with YouTube to claim the rights of a question that I asked to the Miami Hurricanes during the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago that ACC Network had claimed ownership of, which is with ESPN, and I ended up winning that one. So all I'm saying is it's nice to see that as I watch myself get in trouble over the years for doing absolutely nothing wrong and claiming no rights to any of this stuff, that the Indianapolis Colts that are worth billions of dollars have had to take something down because they didn't own the rights to it and didn't put a disclaimer. Even when I've put a disclaimer out, I've still at times gotten in trouble. Facebook, I see you. So I guess what I learned from this story, Murph, is it's not just Dan Tortora Broadcast Media that has to deal with crap, but I put disclaimers out. And I also have never posted a video of Tyreek Hill getting arrested by a Coast Guard. So that's good too.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know. I hadn't heard that story. I guess that might have been a late edition. I don't. Did you text me that one?
I did send it to you, but it came across as like a smaller blurb as opposed to like a big picture.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why I missed it.
Yeah, because I skimmed over it too originally. So
yeah, because honestly, just that's just a weird one, man. And honestly, that stuff probably should have been in there anyway. Why would you put a video of Tyreek Hill getting arrested? That's just. Whoever's their social media manager or made the video should be fired.
They're coming from Murph. Murph said a few things here today. Murph said that he would buy the entire Jets franchise.
Well, can I rephrase that statement?
If you had the money.
I would buy a controlling interest.
Okay.
If I would have control of the team, I would take less than the full team.
So now Murph
I
is
would
saying I'll take
I would
50.
only buy enough to take control of the team.
So Murph was saying he would buy 51%. So
If it means I get final say in all the decisions, I'm making the decisions.
yeah,
Because realistically, this team can't draft for crap. This team can't play for crap. They finally started doing something good in the last couple of years when they drafted Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and Breece Hall, and
Right.
bringing in Justin Fields, a quarterback, I think is perfectly fine for right now.
yeah.
I do think they should have drafted a quarterback this year after Jordan Travis retired, but, I'm not in charge.
Right. But if you were, you would save 49% of the money by not having to do that. So with Murph taking 51% control of the Jets and asking for the absolute firing and claiming that he will never, ever support the Braves in any way, shape, or form, Murph today, ladies and gentlemen, I will let you know this and let you know this proudly, has said a lot of things, but did not once attack the city of Philadelphia for the first time in a long time.
That is accurate.
We will take a step aside.
That is accurate.
We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, I'll tell you what I learned from GG Cards and Breaks trade night, what's not in my possession, and what is, which is very unique. Great Lakes Honda City Studios wake-up call. Back after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on the wonderful location that they have at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. There's nothing like GG Cards and Breaks. Truly, for me, as a sports card and trading card collector pretty much my whole life, I cannot say enough about how great I feel when I go in there, get to hang out with the guys, and look at their ever-changing collection of singles, graded cards, packs, boxes. I've gotten a lot of great stuff in there, and the boxes and the packs I've gotten have paid off dividends. The first card that I sold on trade night came from a box that I got of Panini Illusions, and I don't know what it is, but the magic touch of Anthony Campbell for almost a year now, when he selects a box, you got to feel good about it. So shout out to Anthony, Josh, and the crew. Go and see them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6, Sundays from 10 to 5. Hockey, soccer, UFC, AEW, basketball, baseball, football, Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and more while supplies last, including all the supplies you need to keep your cards safe, well, and showcased properly. All of that is at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. We will see you there Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays from 10 to 5. With that being said, leading perfectly into this final piece of DT and Murphy on Wake Up Call inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, which is Show and Tell. And I'm going to defer to Murph if he's got anything to show us and tell us, because I got a few things to bring your way. All right, Murph, I knew you wouldn't leave me hanging, so what do you got?
I would never leave you hanging, dude. Now, obviously, with me being doing what I'm doing with my job right now, I've been a little busy and haven't been able to go to as many shows. But I got to go to one on Friday night. It's Our Cards and Collectibles, their Friday night monthly show. I've been there quite a few times. My cousin Mike sets up every show. See a lot of good people there. It's tough to use. A lot of times it's tough to buy from the dealers, but if you find the right ones and you can buy a bulk lot, you can usually do okay. And I'll start with that bulk lot that I bought. One of the cards I actually later sold that night. Yeah. But this was the bulk lot that I bought. There was also a Drake May. There was some Drake May card in there that I don't remember. That I got $40 for. But to start, there's a couple of all the rookie QBs is what I did. So we've got a red optic red wave preview of Michael Penix Jr. PSA 10. All these are PSA 10, by the way.
I like it.
And Prism Emergent Green of Bo Nix.
Wait, go back with that. I want to see it again. It's Bo. I love Bo. Nice.
Hold on. I'm gonna brighten up your camera a little bit here so they can see you. Hold on one second. Got to make sure that Murph can showcase us these things and we can see him a little bit brighter. So
too much.
I didn't see what I was doing. It was blocking it. All right, let me see.
How's that?
So yeah, that looks pretty cool here. I like that. We can use that. So
I think it was partly me because I didn't have the light facing me like I normally do.
Yeah. So go ahead and show us the Penix again.
That's this one.
Okay, there we go. Now we can see it. And
yeah,
the
Red Wave Optic Preview Michael Penix. There's the Bo Nix again.
Okay.
Emergent Green.
Okay.
This is a cheap one, but it was a cool one. Donruss Rookie Gridiron Kings of Drake May.
Drake!
And then a couple Jaden Daniels. We've got the Absolute Red, White, and Blue.
That's cool.
And we've got just a Prism base of Jaden Daniels. And then, because we were a couple bucks off of the deal, I said, throw me this card, and we'd be square. A Purple Shock Optic Malik Neighbors.
Oh, very nice.
Which is only a couple of bucks. And then the other card I bought that night was this one here. It is a Phoenix Auto out of 199 of J.J. McCarthy.
I like it.
Very nice.
Like
and
JJ.
I don't think I got to show this on the show yet. I am holding this one until the day he gets called up.
Okay.
It is a Bowman Draft Chrome Prospect Auto, first Bowman Auto of Jack Caglione,
nice.
Formerly a Florida Gator, currently a Kansas City Royals farmhand.
Very nice.
That was a big one. That was, after the taxes and fees, it was $600 on eBay. I'm hoping that by the time he gets called up, it's $800 or $900.
So Murph coming to us with the PSA 10 world, and I now have some time to show you what I got. and kind of what's gone on and what I've learned from trade night most recently, at least here in Syracuse, and something that I think is going to be a theme around the trading card world. I will say that my first card to go, and I'm sorry, Murph, but I traded it there that night, or I sold
That's okay.
sold it, is the J.J. McCarthy RPA to $2.99 of his wonderful jersey, his autograph here. And
What'd you get out of it?
What'd you say?
What'd you get out of it?
I got over $100 out of it, kind of close to your offer. And that was the only thing I did, is I sold it straight up to this guy, Alex, who works for GG Cards and Breaks. He came right over to me, and it was like he came right over, and it was not even a thought. I don't even know how he saw it in the case. He goes, "You can take the JJ out of the case," is what he said to me. So JJ McCarthy is gone, but keep in mind, folks, I still have my JJ McCarthy auto that's graded that has the smiley face on it. I do still have that one.
That's such a great card, that one.
So cool. So much fun. So I will say this about what we
part of me wants to tell you that right before the season you sell it and then buy one back like week 5 when they go down in value.
Well, and that's the thing, is like that card that I have, because he doesn't sign everything with a smiley face. That specific card that I have, even though it's college, it is a unique signature and it's graded, and it's almost a perfect 10 out of 10. It's like a 10 auto 9.5 card. And so the card itself is a beautiful thing. It was already expensive back months and months, and I had to fight to get it. So, that's something that might go, like you said, it might come back. So what I'm seeing in the card world and from GG Cards and Breaks trade night is, once again, quarterbacks are the theme. And so I just wanted to let everybody know these are still in my possession. Some of these may go to get graded. I'm going to have Josh take a look at these, but my Jaden Daniels collection has improved by 2. I did a sale plus a trade in order to offset some things. So I got this Jaden Daniels rookie, and I also got the Topps Chrome Jaden Daniels rookie. Shout out to Topps, who will get the rights to the NFL in 2026, but they've done such a great job at making these cards, like, because of the view of it, you can't even tell that the Washington logo is not on it. I still have this one that I might send out. I had people look at my Bo Nix. Bo Nix is another guy that's going, and so this is my Laser Airborne rookie. I also have this Bo Nix that I pulled recently. I didn't realize how many Bo I had left because I sold my auto, but I have this, obviously, insert pink parallel wave refractor. I have the Bo Nix from Bowman U. I have the Bo Nix from Score. These are all rookie cards. Bo Nix emerged, except for the one that came from Bowman. I have the draft Bo Nix, and then I have the Michael Penix group here to show you some Michael Penix cards. And like I said, some of these might go to get graded. My J.J. McCarthy could go. That'll boost it up here. Another J.J. Then we have Drake May. And I can't help myself, every time I see the Drake thing, it makes me think of Soulja Boy. Drake! So we have that one. We have Caleb Williams, his Bowman first. So this is the first card ever printed of Caleb Williams. Also, I have this Caleb Williams refractor. I have my Caleb Williams that I got from GG Cards and Breaks. And then I have my student orientation of Julian Sayin of Ohio State. So this is one I might hold on to as it emerges, as the card says. I still have my of 5 Cade Stover here of his RPA that has almost the entire Texan logo.
That one's so sick.
And the thing is about this, like, I've had people buy cards from me. They're not even the fan of the team. They just like the patch. And Murph and I were at the show in Philadelphia where we were at Fishtown, and I sold my 4-color patch of Leonard Fournette just because this guy thought it was sick.
Speaking of Fishtown,
yes.
one of their shows in the fall,
yeah,
like once my schedule slows down, I'd be able to do both days. So if you'd want to come down and do both days, I am definitely down to do that.
Yeah, Fishtown, a great place, and letting everybody know here on DT and Murphy inside of Wake Up Call, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, that we appreciate you watching and listening all over the country and the world. And shout out to Fishtown, and shout out to all of our wonderful partners we have here on Wake Up Call in general. Taking a look at some of the other pieces here that I don't think are going to stay with me for long. And one of them, well, I should say all of them are already gone from me. This is one that I got as a replacement. This is number 5 of 10 in the world of Kyle McCord's autograph. So I can't imagine that's going to stay. Depending on how people feel about this guy, I got his Bowman first, and I got 2 different teams of Dylan Gabriel as inserts here. And then I don't have my other one, my insert that's actually cut like it's burned paper. That one was sold on trade night, and I have my Bowman first of Jackson Dart. When I got these cards, this is why it's important to keep this stuff. I got a bunch of these Bowman U stuff, and people didn't know who they were. I didn't know who some of these guys were when I got them. And then when Jackson Dart got big and he got drafted by the Giants, and even well before that when people were talking about him, I was like, hey, I think I have his first card printed. So I'm not imagining Jackson's going to stay with me, especially here in New York. And I would imagine this one's going to go too. Number 1 pick, Dynamite, of the pink insert of Cam Ward's autograph here. And I believe this one is numbered as well. I had people looking at this. I'm sure there will be an offer on that, and that will be gone. So just to show y'all, quarterbacks are still the talk of the town, and having the ones that I got, some may be graded, some may go, and things like the insert I have of Cam Ward, I don't imagine are going to be staying, or the auto, I should say, of Cam Ward. Now here's what I got, Murph, that you might have a little giggle at. I didn't know that these existed. Well, the guys are known to rip stuff that they have on the shelf.
Oh, is this the
Yeah, these
one that you posted?
So we did 2 breaks that were funny and exciting with Anthony Campbell and Josh Gideon. Also featured on that, Curtis Tillman and John Newman. You heard from them as well as myself. Well, I have 2/3 of Boys to Men after a 2025 Leaf Pop Century. I have a refractor insert of Sean Stockman from Boys to Men, who's my favorite Boys to Men, and this is 315, which is also my area code, 3 out of 15. This is a 1/1 Wanye Morris refractor that's cut like a record label or record coming out of the record holder. So I got Wanye, and then from Marvel, I got Tatiana Maslany, who plays She-Hulk. The back of this looks like a diamond. And then I got, this is really cool, I got Michael B. Jordan, and it looks like he's playing one of the celebrity basketball games here. He's got his big old autograph, and this is obviously Creed, and he was also one of the iterations of the Human Torch. So, and Michael B. Jordan played Killmonger in Black Panther. So having his autograph, and this one's numbered to 100, I got that. Then I got a 1/1. This is the most expensive card that I bought. I told the guys I made money on trade night, and then somehow I left losing money. This is a 1/1 scripted refractor insert of the one and only my favorite Punisher back in the day, and is in my top 2 with John Bernthal. This is Thomas Jane playing the Punisher, autographed Thomas Jane, and underneath autographed the Punisher, which ironically goes with my Josh Brolin card that I got autographed in person that has his autographed and then says Thanos underneath. Yep. So I have Thanos and the Punisher together here in my studio. This one's going to get easeled just like this one is. So shout out to Josh and Anthony for pulling awesome cards. I blame Curtis for showing me the Sean Stockman card, and that's why I stayed. And I blame Anthony and Josh for opening the boxes for the fact that I somehow made and lost money on trade night. But those are some really cool things to bring in. And, you know, who's going to have signatures like that and a bunch of those being 1/1, which is really cool. One in the world, which is pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, you go into trade nights sometimes, and sometimes you're looking to sell, sometimes you're looking to buy. Like, realistically, on Friday night, I was looking to buy. I ended up selling more than I bought. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. I mean, you kind of have to go in with a plan, and sometimes the plan can change. So it seems like your plan changed a little bit.
Yeah.
As the night went on.
Yeah.
But you had a good night. That's the important part.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been. It's always a lot of fun, and if you watch the videos, you can see that we had some fun, as we always do. And when I turned it on, I said, this is Dan Tortora of Wake Up Call. Josh's first words out of his mouth is, "It's not always about you, Dan." And then Anthony and I had a good time. As I said something to Anthony, I was like, "I didn't know you had that." And he said, "That's because you were in Italy for a month." So we had a good time together. Curtis and I always sharing some laughs and some fun. And trade night ended at 9:30. we didn't leave. Josh, Curtis, and I did not leave until 11:20. So we definitely had an awesome time, as we
It was
always
like the
do.
one that I was there for.
Yeah. No, we had a great time. And I sold a bunch of cards. And, what I had originally made was around $200. So sold some good stuff, had some things that went. I had some things once again because I thought I did a great job with my box. I was the most prepared that I had been for a trade night in a long time, but I still had a couple things in my box that I forgot were in there. One of them being Michael Jordan playing baseball. And this guy came up and he's like, "Oh, I want that card." He's like, "I got to get it." Or, "Are you going to get it?" And they were dealers. And I just remember when they walked away, I'm like, "Please don't get it. Please don't get it. Please don't ask me about it." And they didn't, because that's one of the cards that I've had since I was a kid. I have no desire of selling it. One of the other ones that I took out of my box because I remember too that I will not sell. And I can tell you that I had people coming after this thing like crazy, is my Larry Bird auto patch card. It's numbered to 25 in the world. It's number 3. This is a national treasure card that people were going after like crazy. And I was like, you need to go home and take that out of your box. I don't know how it crept in there, but yeah, so we had a great time at trade night. Obviously we miss you as always. So hoping that, you have the opportunity to come to one hopefully soon, and we can get you
It'll
up here.
probably
Maybe the
have to
weather's
be
warm.
in the fall or over the winter, but once I have some more time,
Yeah.
which later in the year I will, I want to try to get up, and then, we'll have you come down to do Fishtown, and we can actually do both days this time. And maybe get a table inside.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Fishtown has been wonderful, and I definitely look forward to being back there. I have missed it, so I look forward to the opportunity of being there for Fishtown, hopefully sometime very soon in the not-too-distant future. And in the not-too-distant future, you will see Murph on Wake Up Call, but Murph doesn't know this. Wake Up Call is going on, and you don't know this either, folks, because that's the benefit of being live, is I get to tell you these things as we are live. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for the next 2 weeks after this week will be broadcasting live from our second home. We will be down in the great state of Florida, and we will be featured broadcasting live with the palm trees in Orlando as well as St. Augustine. So the next 2 DT and Murphys will come to you live from our second home of Wake Up Call and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media as a company for Super Powered Pop, which will be doing Universal's Epic Universe. And in the first 2 weeks of their opening, Wake Up Call will be bringing you through Super Powered Pop will be bringing you through the experience of Universal Epic Universe, proudly presented by Parker Banner, Kent and Wayne Comics in Cornelius, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. And Do Diz with Dan will have me on site, on location at the Disney parks. So we'll be doing 3 shows at one time within that 2-week vacation that I will be on. But as you all know, when I take a vacation, I never leave you empty-handed. So my vacation includes talking with you. And for the next 2 weeks, we will be down after this week in Florida in our second home, which means DT and Murphy will take place with palm trees for the next 2 episodes.
I hope you drink a lot of water down there, my friend.
It's going to be 90. It's going to be 90.
Hot.
It's going to be hot right now.
Drink plenty of water.
Oh, I will. I am. People know me. I'm a camel. So I will absolutely be drinking my water as I always do. Having some fun with all of you. Murph, as always, I thank you for being a part of the show and for hanging out here with us. And as we always do here with you folks, giving you some extra bonus time as we've gone well past 11 o'clock this morning. So as always, with all due respect to you, Mr. Murph, and to all the great people that we have with us here, watching and listening, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being with us. And Murph, thank you for sharing some time, as you do every Monday.
Yes, sir.
What time did you say?
One of my favorite parts to the beginning of the week. It makes Mondays a little more bearable.
That's what we're about taking what you don't like and shifting it to a positive. That's Wake Up Call, and that's Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. We'll talk with you soon. That coming from Murph here where sports meets life. And I want to thank you for being a part of the show on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, wherever you are, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. You will find Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for internet streaming radio. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora then goes to our archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And, of course, we want to thank our partner down in North Carolina, Southern Pines, Brooklyn Pickle, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course. You will see the Brooklyn Pickle there for you, and you need to have that. Listen, the state of North Carolina, I've been down there. Y'all got some really good food, but when it comes to sandwich shops, you're not going to find a place with more food, more bang for your buck, and more awesome taste than the Brooklyn Pickle. Go to Southern Pines, Brooklyn Pickle, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And, of course, many thanks to our wonderful partners here in Central and Upstate New York. We love Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Mon Paz, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's, Servomation, reinventing, reinvigorating, and reimagining what it means to have vending in your location. Find out more about how Servomation gives you the technology, the choices, and the quality of food that you won't find anywhere else. Go to servomation.com, servomation.com, and check out how they can get involved with your place of business, your school, your university, your college, your rest stop, wherever you need vending, your airport. Check servomation.com. Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call. Find the Dolphins on Wednesdays during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide. You will find your Dolphins hanging out with me where sports meets life. Student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Find it all by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Find our Lemoyne Dolphins playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to lemoynedolphins.com and Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcats every single month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni hanging out with us in what we call the Bobcat Buzz. You just saw an exclusive Bobcat Buzz, and you can go back and watch that and more on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. That was featuring the new head baseball recruiter here with us, Rich Desereau. So you can check that out and more on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat time on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time worldwide. You will find student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni of Binghamton University joining us here where sports meets life. You can find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. You'll also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I want to thank you for tuning in to Wake Up Call and starting your week off with us. Brendan Murphy talking about Major League Baseball and NFL topics. You can vote in our polls that we put up during the show by going to X, the former Twitter, @CallDT. You can also find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. Thanks to GG Cards and Breaks for a fantastic trade night, as always, and thanks for a lot of really cool stuff and for all the sales. Thank you to everybody that bought from the show, and thank you for your support, and thank you for the new listeners and supporters we got from going to GG Cards and Breaks trade night and getting to talk about Wake Up Call. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I never know how to say goodbye, and I never want to. I appreciate all of our partners, all of our listeners, all of our viewers, all of our supporters. I thank Murph. I thank all of my guests over the years, the thousands upon thousands of you wonderful people that took time out of your busy schedule. And I say to you all, as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Take care.